is. It's kind of a comedy. So yeah, and he's like, how do you, and then of course once I showed him how to do it, he's like, oh, of course that's what it is. I'm like, yeah, it's got to be. But anyways, so I'll throw some movies on there that I haven't seen, but I think that you guys will like. Sean's got I can bring that Apple TV because Sean's got I think he's got about 600 movies on there now. So, or if you guys have a suggestion.
A bunch of screeners too throughout the year.
Well, if you guys have a movie that you want to do, I'm down. As long as it's not animated. Animated films aren't good for that.
Damn it. Okay.
Because animated films they're just way too predictable. Because they're made for general audiences. They're not bad. And not superhero movies either. The Joker would be fine, but I've seen it. You guys have all seen it, right? So, we'll go around real quick, but the one thing that I wanted to say was I got a message from this kid who went to Studio 4. I don't think he was a student at Studio 4, he was only in the James Franco's master class. And I was never his teacher. I said a handful of things in those classes, but not too much. But for some reason, I think this kid, he took a liking to me. He's kind of young. And he's going to be in the new Tom Hanks movie, Greyhound. And so he sent me a message today on Instagram, and this is what he said. Actually, oh fuck, I don't want to stop it because I'm recording. I'll paraphrase it then. He said, hey, I saw you posted a picture from a self-tape that you did with a beanie on. And he's like, it's been drilled into me that you don't wear a hat in an audition. What's your thoughts on that? And I just wrote him back, and I was like, I do whatever I think that I want to do if I'm going to play the character, okay? And I said, if they choose not to hire me because I wore a beanie, do you really want to work for them anyways? And he was like, oh my God, that's genius, thank you. And I was just like, what? And what it is it's because, what I try to brainwash you guys into is not going in that with that, that desperate mentality. Just tell me what you want me to do to get the job. Because you're never going to get the job that way. If you go in with the fear of, like I've said 1,000 times, you don't look at it as, oh my gosh, if I do this, it's going to cost me the job. You got to approach it as, if I do this, it might win me the job, because you can't lose a job you don't have. When you go in for an audition, I'll give you a hint, you don't have the job yet. So think in terms of not, I'm going to do something that's going to cost me the job. Go in with the attitude of, I'm going to do something that's going to win me the job. Look how many times I tell you guys when I'm working with you, I'm like, oh, I already know nobody else is going to do this. Because everybody's going to say the memorize, they're not going to do anything that's not on the page. I already know that. Because 99% of the actors go in there with that fear-based mentality. And the more and more you do this, you find out it's like the person that didn't do what was actually on the page is what got the job. So, anyway, so what movies did we watch? Go ahead.
I watched 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, okay.
And then I watched...
I've never seen that one.
I watched movie 46. I think it's called 42.
Oh, 43, I think it is.
43.
Yeah.
It's
It's different vignettes. Yeah, I remember when that came out. It got panned. People were like, this movie sucks.
I had no clue what it was, and I was like, I always see this picture everywhere, so let's put it on. I guess the reason I saw the photo everywhere is because every single celebrity's in it, so I probably saw it on their IMDb.
Yeah.
So then I put it on, and it was literally a human version of Family Guy.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, because is it the one, I can't remember, is it Hugh Jackman? He's got the balls for the chin, and yeah. It's just nonsense, right? But whatever. I think it's one of those movies you got to watch high, and then you're like, it's hilarious.
It threw me off. I was like, what is this? But it's so fucking...
They have two different versions of it, though. They have one version these kids, and then they have another version of Dennis Quaid. The Dennis Quaid version kind of kills the rest of the movie, but the one with the kids, for whatever reason, it's just like one little small change, but it makes the movie that much funnier.
I don't know. I remember watching it. I mean, like I probably fell asleep during it. So.
Vegas, where he's like, he creates like a big family, and they sell weed or whatever. The kid had a tattoo. The kid that had a tattoo says no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. Like that kid is like going to lead out of the movie.
So what else? What else you watch? Go ahead. No, go ahead. Ladies first. We're still chivalrous here. Women aren't equal here. We let women go first.
I rewatched Interstellar.
Oh, okay.
And then I didn't watch anything. I was out of town last week, but the last 2 days, today and yesterday, I was working like 6 a.m. to like midnight.
Huh.
I was working for Crypt TV.
Oh, okay. Tim shot something with my one kid I work with a lot. He shot something with them.
Because I was the assistant of the director.
Okay.
Because connections. No.
I'm kind of a big deal. I know people.
No, and so it was really interesting because I was on the production side.
Okay.
And I was supposed to shoot with them this week, not shooting, but being the PA is also assistant of her. But because my working permit only starts March 25th, I didn't work with the production company because I need to be paid.
Gotcha.
But the last 2 days, I've never been so exhausted. It's really interesting because I mean I've been on student films, like behind the scenes. But I've also been on I've been on big production sets, whatever you call it, like as an actor or whatever. But I've never done like big production behind the scenes. How it's like tech scouts and stuff. So we went to today at like 7 a.m. I had to be in Pomona, and it's like this whole like Cal Poly that university thing that is not active. It's like these crazy places, like what's going on. And then yesterday for like 7 hours I was helping the costume design, and I went to like every city in LA, not LA, but like in the every place to find these
wardrobe stuff.
This stupid wardrobe stuff that you just cannot find anywhere because they're specific. I was just insane.
Yeah. And
then it's like because it's very it's like stunts. It's really interesting because yesterday at the headquarters they were rehearsing they came in for the fittings, and then they did some of the stunts to choreograph, and it was interesting on location today without them. It's like, okay, now I know what the stunts look like. Oh, okay, now I see the location. Oh, this is how they're gonna. It was really, really interesting because the location was so kind of like, oh, I never been on a location like that.
Cool.
Like I wish I would have worked to have like another step and then finally see the final project. But it was really interesting to have those two steps that I had never seen on like a bigger production, and
cool.
So that's fun.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? You see why I'm like, I try to not make like a lot of actors. I mean, look, the actors are the reason that in general people watch stuff, but when you're at your job, you can't act like you're the center of attention because there's just too much other shit going on, man. I'm kind of like, I'll stay out of the way until you say you're ready, and then you just tell me what you want, and I'm boom, 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 I'm get it, because we got to move on.
Yeah, no, because they were even cutting like shots. They're like, okay, like I love that, but we need to, because we only have so many days, and so they were cutting, and so it's like we will have to move really fast. So it's like, oh, you need to be ready at your job.
Yes.
Because everything depends on money.
That's right. You can. I'm like, and I'm telling you, just being, competent, which there's a lot. I told you guys there's a lot that goes into that word, but just being competent, making sure that nobody ever has to wait on you, or you're ready to go, whatever. You'll get jobs just time and time again, just by being generally good. You don't even have to be great. You don't have to be Joaquin Phoenix and win the Academy Award. You can just be good, right? You're dependable, and they'll call you back. They'll just keep calling you back. So, good lesson. Good lesson. Movie, go.
All right, I saw three. All three were recommendations. I saw three different.
Okay.
So I saw the one that first I told you about, Free Solo.
Oh yeah, right. The documentary.
Like,
Yeah.
Told me about that one the other day, and it's essentially about like this rock climber, but he climbs with no rope, so it's like
Right.
it's just him and like nature.
Do you guys remember? Like, didn't Andrew or somebody talk about that once upon a time? The rock climbing one. I could
I
have
think
swore.
so. I only know the one with James Franco.
No, not the 120.
yeah.
This was documentary.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about it. Anyways, go ahead.
But it's just like crazy because this guy like it reminded me of acting a lot just because one all the things he sacrifices, like he has to sacrifice so many relationships and stuff like that because he's doing this thing that's crazy, and how his life affects everyone else around him. And it's like in a sense that like he's one of the first people that's gonna document it because the thing is that when you're doing this thing you have to be so like locked in and focused and there can't be any mistake because he's scaling these massive mountains. So there's this like one moment, right, where like without ruining it, like he's having a debate with the film crew, and the film crew's like if you don't want us to film it, we won't, because they're his friends before they were ever like, and they're also climbers as well, so they understand how serious it is. And it's just that idea. He's like what he gives up to do it, and then like the focus and all these different things. It's because like if your hand slips. And it's like he's like his room for error is so massive.
Right.
Yeah.
So minimal. Right.
So minimal,
Yeah.
exactly. And then it's like the payoff, like at the end of the day, it's more like it's more of a prideful payoff than it is a financial one. You know what I mean?
Well, not only just prideful, right? It's for him.
It's like,
No, forget about financial, but like even, 99% of the people on the planet can't go, oh, well, that's, they're like, well, good for you. Yeah, because they just can't comprehend that.
It's the idea of like truly achieving perfection. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like from that aspect, it's just so cool that like someone's in love with something so much that they're willing to sacrifice so much for it. So like that, it's on Hulu and Free, and on Disney Plus. I definitely recommend that.
Okay.
And then I saw Jerry Maguire.
Hey. Oh, yeah. They put that on Netflix, I saw.
Yeah. And my brother would shut up about it.
Had you not seen it before?
I've never saw it.
Oh, okay. It's good. Yeah, go ahead.
He's like, you have to see it, you have to see it. And I saw it, and it's like, for me, like, Tom Cruise is amazing. He does like,
Yeah.
some fantastic work in it. And I thought Cuba Gooding Jr. was good, but like, for me, like, it was Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger. It was like their chemistry. And then, Cuba won the
Yeah, he won an Academy Award for that.
Academy Award for it.
Yeah.
And like, nothing that, like, I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he did some amazing things, but like, I didn't see like what was so crazy about what he did in that film. But like, I thought overall it was a really great film.
So, well, it was Cameron Crowe wrote that.
Yeah.
Cameron Crowe. And directed it too, I believe. And, he did Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Elizabethtown and Almost Famous.
Yeah.
So, it's really well done. My gut tells me is because, and I got a good story to tell you guys too about those of you that want to be famous. I think what it was Cuba Gooding Jr. He was working. He was a working actor. He'd done Boys in the Hood and stuff. But he wasn't really like the A-list actor to be opposite Tom Cruise, right? He was not really that known and came in and stole scenes that he's in. I mean, we know it more because we don't look at it like the layperson, but everybody else on the street's like, oh my God, here's this guy stealing scenes from Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? So I think that played a lot into it. And just his, his boisterousness. Is that a word? Boisterousness? I don't think so. But, okay. Made people think that that's what NFL players are like.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that's probably what went into it. Before you go into your third movie. So I got a story about Cuba Gooding Jr. doing Jerry Maguire. So this is, Jerry Maguire has come out. I'm not 100% positive if he had been nominated yet, but of course, I mean, like, he was being talked about for it and everything. So he goes on Oprah Winfrey. And so she's there, and, he's now like the toast of the town, right? Because he's, being talked about, whatever. And so she was like, what was it like working with Tom Cruise? Or she's like, what was it, not working with him? She was like, what's it like? She didn't say hanging out with Tom Cruise, but basically what's it like being with him outside of acting, right? Because, he had talked about like he went over to his house to rehearse and whatever. And he said, so Cuba Gooding Jr. was like, he's like, you really do not understand how famous Tom Cruise is. You just can't, no matter what you think you can imagine, you just really, it won't hold a candle to what it really is. He said, so I go there to his house, and he's like, he goes, look, it's like one of my biggest paychecks so far. And he's like, I want to go to the mall and get some sneakers. And he says, so he goes over to his house, and, they're doing their stuff or whatever. And he's like, they're getting ready to be done or whatever. And Cuba says, Tom asked him, what do you want to do, or what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to go to the mall and get some sneakers. You want to go to the mall? And he's like, I can't go to the mall. And he's like, for everything that you get for being famous, you're also a prisoner of it. You can't just go to the mall because you want to go to the mall. Because he's like, I'll be swamped, I won't be able to move in there. And he's like, I didn't realize, you just don't realize how famous Tom Cruise is. And, this has been 1996. He's probably not, he's still famous, but this is 2020. But it's like, I can't go to the mall. And that's why I said, be careful. I know you guys, especially you younger guys, that want to be famous, especially you females. And I'm saying this because I want you guys to all be famous, because then it'll make me a lot of money. But just know that, let's say you get the coronavirus and all of a sudden you got the runs and you got to go get toilet paper. So you run out of your house to go get toilet paper. There's going to be somebody taking a picture of you. And if you're not looking your best, it's going to be on the cover of Us Weekly, and they're going to shred you. So,
What if you get someone to go get it for you?
well, you would hope that somebody's available at all times, but it's just that's not always the case. You know what I mean? Because personal assistants do have to have time off.
Yo, Ricky, I need toilet paper.
You know what I
right
mean? Just imagine you stop for gas.
now. Okay.
They're going to be taking photos of you if you're that famous. And if you're not looking like you're just stepped out, like you're, I don't want to say red carpet ready, but your makeup's not to perfection, they're going to shred you. And so I hope your self-esteem can handle that. That's why,
But isn't paparazzi set up by
we'll look at those restaurants and stuff, but go flip through Us Weekly and see the pictures when they take people pumping gas or coming out of the gym.
There's definitely times that people aren't ready for them.
Yeah.
You're not set up, yeah.
And I'm telling you, you'll see somebody just even walking down the street, you'll see, let's say, Jonah Hill. We'll just use Jonah Hill because he goes up and down in weight, right? And you'll see him at the red carpet premiere, right? You'll see him at a red carpet premiere that maybe he's lost some weight and he's in a fitted tux and he looks really good. And then the next week in Us Weekly, they bring up a picture of him 3 years ago with his gut hanging over his pants and be like, what happened to Jonah Hill? When they don't care because they just want to sell magazines.
Those magazines are like.
You know what I mean? Just imagine, let's say, for instance, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but you just lost your father, and let's say, you're not feeling good, and so then, you've been staying at home, and you're eating more ice cream than you should have, and I don't know, I put on 10 pounds, and then you walk outside, and they're like, oh my God, look how wide her ass is. And you're like, I just lost my dad. Can you take it easy? No, that's what you asked for. That's what they'll tell you.
Well, and every relationship you have is scrutinized. If you have kids, they're gonna try to photograph.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
also,
yeah.
in terms of intimate things, you can't. People are gonna record you. People are gonna.
Yeah. Especially with the phones, right? They're going to be like,
The price you pay now because of phones and because of
Yeah.
reproduction of images and stuff. I remember a couple years ago I read an article, a profile of Robert De Niro in the New Yorker, and he talked about, because he grew up in the streets of New York, and his mom was a painter, and his dad was a painter, and his mom, they had all these parties and whatever. He like was his kid grew up on the street and at parties with adults, and then like got to a certain point in his career, he couldn't take the subway anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, one of my favorite things in the world is to take the subway in New York, and I have not been able to do it for X number of decades. And it's like, you just can't do it. It's sad.
Yeah, just imagine. Remember that one time, the teeny bopper thing that you're doing, the cheerleader thing, right? We met at that cafe when you just auditioned for it, right? Now just imagine if you were famous. We go there just to rehearse. They snap photos of us, and then who's Ricky with this mystery guy, and then your boy, and then 7 years, right? And your 7-year relationship, all of a sudden, people are now coming up to Anton going, hey, who's Ricky cheating with? And he's like, what? And he's like, and then he goes, well, that's just her acting coach. That's not what they were at this restaurant. You know what I mean? And then you got to go home and be like, well, of course he knows me, but that's different. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like the minute you're just with somebody for the most innocent, benign thing, it's going to be on the cover of Us Weekly if you're that famous. So just be prepared for it. That's all I'm saying.
I was at the farmer's market 2 weeks ago, and so I was at the stand. And this guy, and I don't know if he's an actor or something. So there's this paparazzi guy. He had like one of those cameras, you know. So he was
like a
filming.
telephoto?
It was
Oh, okay.
Not the big one, but like you want the one you can run after people with.
Oh, okay.
And the guy, and so he's standing in line. He's like, yeah, blah blah blah. And the guy's, you know, he's being really polite. And again, I don't know who it was. He's right in front of me, and so he's like, yeah, no. So when you were doing that, blah blah, how, no. So the guy's answering. Now he's ordering. So as he's ordering, he can't even let him talk to the guy. Did you think it was weird when I, out of nowhere, just started following you? And I was like, what is he saying? And so he stood there for another, like, I'm not joking, like, this close. And he's like, okay, well, thank you so much. I'm gonna go now. And then he just.
Yeah. And if you get an attitude about it, I'm telling you, they're going to rip you apart because you don't appreciate it. You asked for it. When you got into acting, you asked for it. So just be careful what you. So what's the third movie?
Alright, so then Sully let me borrow. Kate kept on telling me to watch Beautiful Boy.
Oh, okay. I want to watch that, but it's not on.
I haven't.
Oh, okay. It's not on the internet yet, right?
It's on Amazon.
Oh, it is on Amazon.
I cannot recommend any Timothy Chalamet movie.
So
Okay.
It's such a great movie.
Yeah, it's good.
What he does, like,
I'll check it
I
out.
learned a lot from him because he's so not afraid of being feminine, but at the same time, like, he takes it all in. Like, you see him listening, you see him taking everything in, and you see him really working with the person across him. Like, he's such an unselfish actor. So it's like, for someone so young to be so disciplined, it's just like, it's incredible. Like, what he does is, like, you could tell he really, really did his research, and like even I grew up with a lot of drug addicts, and like even some of this like the things that he does when he's like jonesing or when he's high, how he tries to hide it, he doesn't try to go over the top with it. Like he really respected the craft and like really respected the work and the person who was playing and went into it. You get to see all these little minute details that like, as you say, like to the person who doesn't really know what he's looking for, may not appreciate it. But someone who's an addict can look at that and be like.
And that's what you're right. Whenever you're going to play somebody that has that sort of, not just that sort of an impediment, whether it be limp or stutter or drug addiction, alcohol, whatever, you want those people that are that to go. The layperson be like, oh, that's good, that's fine, but you want the people that really have experienced it in real life to be like, did you have a problem? That's what you want.
It's also hard because it's based on 2 books, one written by the father
And one by the
written
son. Yeah.
But
That's what I heard.
they liked the movie.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Do you watch anything?
Yeah, I watched Knives Out.
Oh, yeah, Knives Out, yeah.
I couldn't stand this guy's fucking accent. I didn't understand it.
The James Bond guy?
Yeah, why?
Oh.
I
That's because you're a
it's
foreigner.
like no, precisely. I felt bad thinking, wow, the accent. You know how I am with accents.
Yeah.
I have one, so I'm traumatized by it. But I'm like seeing this, like this is a big guy that's doing a horrible accent, and I can't get past
I
it.
love the accent.
Well, I will say this, because this is my
The
thought.
accent?
With the-
He didn't do it right,
when it first came on, because I know him so much as James Bond, right?
Who was it?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
It's like it takes a minute.
And so so at first it was very jarring, but by the time the movie ended, it did go away. I stopped paying attention to
it.
it.
Was still there for me until the end. I'm like, I want to keep watching this movie, but every time he would say something, I'm like, oh.
Girl, 8 out of 10 Russian accents are horrible.
Well,
what?
The
Russian is supposed to be doing Southern.
Oh no, I'm saying like
I liked the movie. I thought it was okay, but the girl that I liked is the girl that's the lead.
And
Yeah, she's good. I was like,
what's so great about her?
what's that?
She's 30 and beautiful, and I think hasn't Botoxed her whole face.
Oh.
Because you can see her emotion.
Well, she definitely looks younger than what she is. So
Well, I don't know what 30 means. Like, she looks gorgeous. and I think she looks
yeah, I just think she looks like if I had to guess, I think she looks 25. But
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas.
She's
yeah, yeah. So here's the thing. So what happened was I was,
See, I love her accent.
I was watching her and I'm like, I had not seen her in anything else. That was the first time I'd seen her. But of course, then I look, whenever I see somebody that's, like I told you guys, you'll see somebody in a movie and they just stick out. And you're like, how have I not seen this person before? Or you'll see him and you're like, oh, that person's going to be a star.
Like Tom Hardy in Inception.
Yeah, right? I'm just like, that person's going to be a star.
She's already a star.
But she's not she was, before that movie, she's not A-list star.
That was like her crossover.
Yeah, she's not, I mean, you may know her or whatever. I had never heard of her.
Really?
And so I'm watching her and I'm like, who, because she's in there with there's like a lot of big stars in there, right? And I'm like, who the hell is this? I'm like, I got to look her up because she's going to be a star, right? And then what I look her up and says that she, not only is she Cuban, but she studied acting in Spain, right? So she's a trained actor. And she's going to be the next James Bond. And I'm like, I'm telling you, the more you do this, you just start to see people and you're just like, that person's going to, they just stand out. They just stand out. And I was like, she's going to be in the next James Bond. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The one that they've now pushed back because of the coronavirus.
Wait, she plays James Bond?
No, she's going to be like one of the, in it.
Oh.
Yeah, she's going to be in it.
Oh, I see.
But like a big lead, like, one of the, like a Bond girl.
She's the right age too. But I have to say, unlike a lot of actresses her age, whatever age.
Yeah, they
she
try
is,
to F with their
They don't have
face.
to wrinkle anywhere, and when she had her emotional scenes in that film, the way they filmed it and also her face allows for it. Like Nicole Kidman's an incredible actress, but you cannot.
She's
see
kind of
any-
frozen now, right? Yeah.
You can't.
And that's how you know she's a great actress, that even without moving anything, she's still like,
it's really distracting.
No, but I mean, it is, but
And she does a lot of heavy breathing to make up for the fact that her
But
face
she,
doesn't move.
Oh, really? I don't watch that stuff.
You know what Botox bothered me?
What's that?
The morning show, Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, I
She
don't
couldn't
watch
even, like, every time she would like get upset, she would be like,
I don't watch that stuff. I can't watch that stuff.
Nicole Kidman, although she did have, and I had mentioned in Bombshell, she had those, what is it called, prosthetics? Like that
Prosthetics,
kind
yeah.
of like, did you watch Bombshell?
no,
No, it was really, really good. But even, I see what you're saying, but maybe it was because of the prosthetics, but it was just like, it just feels all weird. Because the face,
Well, I want you guys to remain.
to have.
I mean, like one of my well, look, Meryl Streep doesn't do anything to her face, unless she has to for a role. One of my other favorites that
she
hasn't.
doesn't? Of course, she just does it like a little bit.
But one of my other favorites that doesn't touch her face is Susan Sarandon.
Oh yeah, she's.
And you know what I mean? Like, just, and I think I've heard a lot of actresses now saying they're not going to do that. I think, did Scarlett Johansson say that? And maybe Natalie Portman, these people. I mean, and they're getting to the age where they're in their late 30s, early 40s, that they could be poking themselves. And don't. Especially, look, now that Hollywood is turning to not just hiring the pretty girl, right? Don't fuck with your face. Don't fuck with your face. I mean, look at me. I was kidding. Don't mess with your face, guys. It's not worth
Sister
it.
man.
I don't do anything to my face.
No, but I mean, look, I'm very sensitive about this because I'm not 25.
Right,
I'm not
right.
25 either. Like, the fact that Anna de Armas, who's the big rising thing,
Yeah.
now apparently maybe dating Ben Affleck on the cover of Everything.
Oh, really?
I mean, who knows? Whatever. But
I
she's
didn't hear
getting
that.
coverage. There's that much
Yeah.
attention, so whatever. The fact that you can see all of this facial landscape in motion,
It's good.
for me, is actually pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's good.
And like, I'm happy for that.
Don't mess with your face, guys.
Because it's also more interesting to watch.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Like, yeah. And, you know. And they're writing stuff now that. They're writing stuff now that women aren't just the, you know, arm candy. So, yeah, don't fuck with your face.
Also, if anyone has not seen Judy with Renee Zellweger, did you not like it?
I love
I
No,
it.
wasn't
who-
so-
I loved it.
Was it you?
No, I said I just doesn't look interesting.
No, somebody. Oh, it was
I watched it. I said
Amanda, Amber.
I
Amber.
said it in a class that I
Yeah,
watched.
Amber said it was good too. Yeah. I'd like to check it out
The
sometime.
director of that film's also a theater director, and I feel like you can tell.
You can tell.
Really, really, really wonderful.
She was like,
Check
you
it out.
couldn't see her.
No, she transformed completely, physically,
And I bought it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what I watched. Can't remember. But anyways, so I'll send out a list. Next Tuesday is, I think I said it to Miguel. Next Tuesday is St. Patrick's Day. So we're going to end class at 10 o'clock. And if we want to go get a green beer afterwards,
Oh, nice.
we'll go get a green beer. I don't drink beer. I'll get a green something.
Apple juice.
Make sure you all wear green. Otherwise, I'll pinch you.
Ooh, but there's gonna be glitch.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms. Why does everyone always laugh when I say that? It's a television commercial. The little leprechaun man. There's always these little bits of marshmallow stuck right in the cereal, so the kids think, this is candy. I'm having fun.
Wow.
And then Austin Powers. With Frau for business. Anyways, so
Matthew, I wanted to add something real quick.
Go ahead.
As a student, like, you know, after the talk, you had.
Oh, last week?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
last week here, and then we had, and then Miguel and I had. Like, I can only talk for myself.
Uh-huh.
I just want you to know, and like the rest of the class, like, I have a 2020 vision, and I'm committed to, like, this class, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I didn't know, for example, that you're supposed to come already set up.
oh,
I thought you would set up here.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I feel like we would save even more time, and we could go even twice, you know.
Yeah.
Because I like to work. Like, I like to watch, but I also like to go, you know.
Yeah.
And I think if we
Well,
all came up,
you were new enough that it's usually the veterans that I want to be already set up. You're new enough that I don't, like I said, especially because of you being new. Remember how the story was getting in the way? So I don't usually have the new people set up ahead of time. It's usually the veterans. But it's so yeah, it doesn't waste time, but that's not my biggest reason is the time frame. It's because the same way, when you do a movie and you get the script and you've got it now for 6 months before you go and shoot it, it sinks in your body, right? It hooks in you. If you set up your story a week ahead of time or 3 days ahead of time or whatever, your body has a way of absorbing it and finding the holes in it that your body can't find when you go set it up 5 minutes before you go. You call, say you call Miguel and say, hey, this is our setup, and it's 4 days before class, and then 2 days before something will happen that you'll be like, wait a minute, but what about this? And then you can call him and go, hey, and then you can fill in those holes. And then the more you do that, then you can set it up 5 minutes ahead of time. But, once you become a veteran at it. But that's really why I want it, so that when you're up there, you don't even have to remind yourself of the story. It's so in you. You know what I mean? Kind of like last week when you were up there with Paul and you were reminding Ricky about how he was your boyfriend or whatever you said. You just don't do that in real life. You know what I mean? Because we all know the situation, You won't ever have to remind yourself of it. But then it also does save time. But anyways, it's only 5 of us. So
Justin's coming too.